Kind of doing the same thing Jalen did, but just so you guys know, the Black Book is supposed to represent the presence of the authors of the poems I'm going to present, and it's a program that means a lot to me, and I've had personal experiences with it, so it's just me trying to let you guys understand and connect with my struggle with colorism and my culture. So, okay. It's not what it looks like. I'm not what I look like. I know you see the white skin and you think, Puta ain't nothing but a white girl. At least that's what the Spanish-speaking mother of three told me as I handed her scoop of pistachio and said, "Thank you. Have a nice day." She looked at me, tilted her head and said, "¿Por qué no hablas español? Eres mexicana, no? No. I'm not a mermaid. I prefer sorceress of the seas who wields the will of all, seductress of men. Even the great Poseidon will fall to his knees at my call, a siren, if you will, but never a mermaid. My roots dug themselves out from the soil on distant corners of the globe, floating on the wings to something different, something new, and planted itself in the center of the universe, New York City. But tell me, how many bad seeds does it take to make a half-breed? On January 10th, 2014, Ayanna Vaskant appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and challenged the notion of prejudice by declaring colorism is the internal war plaguing minority communities. Ayanna argues that colorism has shifted from a preference of lighter skin to light skin shaming. This has fueled animosity within minority communities, specifically within the Latin American community, where a prejudice against biracial Latino Caucasians like me, is becoming increasingly problematic. I know racism is alive and well in our country, and we should never forget the struggles minorities still face. But how can we combat racism when we are allowing prejudice to flood Latino culture and blind our fight for equality? So through the poetry, Being Hispanic by Greg Garcia, Half-Breed by Chilo and Vince, Laments for the English-Speaking Latina by Daniela De Jesus, White Privilege by Jay, I Am Not a Mermaid by Natalia Rodriguez, and My Skin Is Not My Culture by me. A program of poetry. Because in the fight for equality, inclusion should not just be skin deep. You see, mermaids have this reputation I have no longing to fill. Man paints them with a longing for life on land, but I love these scales that drape my heavenly fin, the soft skin that covers my breast. But to live with both is to live in sin. But you see, sin is to ships at war who are dying, crying, pleading for their souls, but their primary concern is my distant humanity. God forbid I refuse to align to their notions of what a woman should be and what a fish is. Because there's nothing more confusing than a half-breed. I never know which side to love, which side to hate. It's as if my skin tone defines me rather than the content of my character as we have all dreamed. When I grew up, I never noticed a difference. I never paused for a second, never stalled at my reflection, questioning what it's like to live in a world incapable of coexistence. And I still remember the stories of mi abuela and her culture. How there was more to being Hispanic than tacos, el chupacabra, and skin tone. And I understood every word she said, but the words just kept getting tangled at the tip of my tongue like, yo, no hablo español porque estoy muy embarazada. What I meant to say was, I don't speak Spanish because I'm not very good at it. What I actually said was, I don't speak Spanish because I am very pregnant. She looked at me, tilted her head, and said, "No eres Mexicana. She took her 2 cents and left. And I still remember mi abuela's funeral. How out of all the people that would come to our house for Christmas, when she made homemade tamales, not a single one of them was there. Because even though my grandmother was born in Chiapas, she died a white woman because her daughter married a white man. My father's parents warned him about white women. Do not mix our blood with theirs like milk and honey. They will make you weak. And should you have a child, it would be an egregious mistake. But I followed in my father's shadows. He crept back to his parents' home, raised his arm like it was made out of lead, wrapped his knuckles around wood until it opened, and he said, "Hi, Mom. Look who's here to see you." And I heard her spitefully spit out, "You can come in, but leave the half-breed in the car." I remember being told I was too white to be Hispanic, but too Hispanic to be white. That my light skin tone disconnected me from struggle, but I was too dark to be privileged. I wanted to shake the living shit out of my grandma. I wanted to tell her there's no such thing as half-racial, multiracial, biracial privilege. That's not a thing because the other half of my family isn't a cloak I can throw on. They're not a mask I can wear out in public. Their privilege doesn't extend to me, and I know some of us were raised to be colorblind, Grandma, but the world doesn't care how we're raised. Black is black, brown is brown, white is white, which means I'm still not white, which means I'm still not treated as white. I should have said the truth. "No, ma'am, I don't speak Spanish." Because when my mother held me, the love for her 2 cultures ran so fast through her veins, it taught me the language to love all things. Proof that when our Uncle, Tia, and Abuela crossed the border with dreams in their eyes, thighs, and bones, they did not leave their culture far behind. You forced me to wash up ashore, strip me of my scales, and I break. I'm forced to ask myself, why do I have to choose a tide? To sever the strings the ocean uses to guide my heart, but neglect my love for dirty scallywags that would kill for a kiss from this century-old villain. The evil seductress, the dirty thoughts of the mighty Calypso, the moment man fears what he cannot understand. Because my body will never be an exhibit of nature's beautiful ability. And I will never fit into a category of man's scientific method misunderstanding of themselves. Do you want to know what struggle is? Struggle is having your family ripped from the soil you thought was free by a sea of whitewashed badges and then told, "You can't cry." Because your dirty blood is like a disease. Struggle is not something that's defined my Hispanic culture, and it is not something my light skin will ignore. Because struggle is not a product of skin tone, it is a product of ignorance. And if you continue to tell me that because I am a mix of 2 beautiful cultures, that makes me less Hispanic, well, then your struggle isn't against the ignorance of the world. It is against the ignorance of your own closed mind. And I feel so sorry for you. I should have said the truth. "No, ma'am, I don't speak Spanish. And I respect the fact that you hold on to your culture so tightly, but don't suffocate me with your judgment. I'm just as lost as you are, caught in between the barbed wire fence of 2 beautiful worlds, waiting for the day I'm not asked,